was a major texting and driving accident in Southern California. And luckily, I mean, thankfully it wasn't his kids, but still there were somebody's kids, and it really shook the community. And this is where he put his stake in the ground and said, hey, we are going to solve distracted driving.
Hey, welcome back to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast with your hosts, Chris Harris and John Farquhar. We're got a good episode today here. We've got Corey Wana-Raw-Vich from NoCell. He's also known as Corey NoCell, and he's got an awesome tool and service that he can provide the trucking industry to help us reduce crashes and some violations at the same time. So let's get into her.
Let's get into her. I like Corey from NoCell better, right?
Much easier.
Corey, can you give us a quick background on who you are and maybe how NoCell started?
Sure. So I'm the CRO for NoCell Technologies, and NoCell started about a little over 7 years ago now. The gentleman who started the company actually has 7 kids, which is a feat in itself, right? And 4 of them were in high school at the same time, and there was
Hold on. I know. How in the heck do you have time for 7 kids and start a company?
Right. And he's very successful. He had, a successful company in his own right, and then he started this one. But There was a major texting and driving accident in Southern California. And luckily, I mean, thankfully it wasn't his kids, but still there were somebody's kids, and it really shook the community. And this is where he put his stake in the ground and said, hey, we are going to solve distracted driving. And so he started NoCell Technologies, brought me on in October of 2019. And we have been installing and selling ever since. Just about every week we've got new customers coming on board now. So, it's the only platform right now that is proactive in safety, right? You've got your cameras, telematics, all the great stuff that goes along with it. But this is a proactive solution that will take the cell phone, that it manages the cell phone so the drivers aren't fiddling with their cell phone the entire time that they are, on the road. So it's a platform that consists of a NoCell tag that's shaped sort of like a hockey puck. We did that for our Canadian friends, so you guys would understand it. And there's an app that goes on your phone, and then there's a back-end portal, and your fleet manager can authorize or whitelist any of the apps that they want to have active on the phone while the vehicle's in motion. All the other apps are physically removed from the phone while the vehicle's in motion, so the driver cannot get to Facebook or TikTok or any social media or anything that would be a distraction to them instead of something that's, productive for them.
Wow.
I mean, I really like the technology, and it reminds me, kind of a sad story. In New York State, there was a truck driver who got convicted of, I think it was vehicular manslaughter, because they proved in court he was watching porn on his laptop.
Wow.
And I mistakenly thought this would be really easy to find. And when I Googled, truck driver watching porn on his laptop, I was inundated with similar cases. And I mean, as a man, I was disgusted.
Yeah.
But NoCell would greatly help in that regard, would it not?
It sure would, yeah. It can go in on any of the devices, tablets or whatever, as long as it has a Wi-Fi and a Bluetooth signal. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's get back to NoCell, because that was kind of a rant. I just think some of us men are pretty disgusting.
So I talk to probably 60 to 80 fleets a month, right? Either in person or on the phone or Zoom or whatever. And almost every single client that I talk to or potential client that I talk to has a horrific story. It might not be, that same scenario, but it's, hey, my driver was, my best driver. I've had it for 20 years. He is our driver of the year, but he looked at that cell phone one time on the 6-10-10 exchange because he didn't know which one he was going to go on. And all of a sudden he's T-boning somebody or, hitting the barriers and causing, it happens every single day. So that's why we're here today, right? Because this happened. This is the epidemic.
It is. It's today's epidemic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all heard of the Florida case that with a nuclear verdict of about $1 billion. And that involved a trucking company from Quebec as well. And both commercial drivers, as I understand that crash, both commercial drivers' cell phones had a lot to do with that fatal crash.
Yeah. It's horrific. I hear these stories every single day, and we sort of get tired of the stories when we know that there's a solution today, right now, that you could put in your fleet, and you could eliminate the cell phone distraction from a cab. We still can't do anything about dogs and hamburgers, right? But we can do something about cell phone.
Sure, for sure.
So explain again. If I was to get that hockey puck, it's white. It's the wrong color for a hockey puck. But if I was,
it reminds me of a Timbit that's been squished.
So if I was to get a NoCell puck, explain to me what am I doing, and then what are the steps that I would incorporate within my company?
So you would put the NoCell tag in or the puck, either way. The NoCell tag on the A pillar of the driver's side of the vehicle, so that we can tell. Well, in future releases, we'll be able to let you know who's in the driver's seat, passenger seat, and who's in the sleeper. But you would put that on the A pillar of the driver's side of the vehicle. There's an app that is loaded up on the driver's phones, and then there's a back-end portal that allows you to, it creates an aggregate list of apps that are on all the phones of the group. You authorize just the apps that you want to have active while the vehicle's in motion. So maybe a navigation app and an ELD and, maybe like Spotify or something if they want to listen to music. Everything else, when the vehicle gets up to speed, which is determined by the fleet manager in the portal, it's 4 miles an hour or whatever, 6 kilometers per hour, right? As soon as they get up to that speed, then the phone goes into policy. The apps that are not authorized are physically removed from the phone while the vehicle's in motion.
Yes.
And what I like about that, as you were speaking, the name Joe Fried or Joe Freed came into my mind.
Yep.
And for those listeners and watchers, I've never met Joe, but I've seen him on a few talk shows. And he is a prosecuting attorney that specializes in nuclear verdicts of trucking companies. And wouldn't this technology give the defense a lot of ammunition to help navigate?
Oh, sure. Yeah, because right now, trucking companies or all fleets, commercial fleets, they normally they have a cell phone policy, right? Yeah. So the driver signs that cell phone policy on the first day, and then they pinky promise that they are not going to use their cell phone, while they're driving. Well, now they sign the cell phone policy or the safety policy, and now they have a way to enforce and prove that they're enforcing that safety policy and that cell phone policy. So if you go into, if you've got a more defensible position, also you can't measure the crashes that don't happen. Right. But I mean, we have several customers that since they put this in, they have not had one single distracted driving by the cell phone crash.
Wow.
Zero insurance claims because of the cell phone related collisions or crashes. So, I mean, it keeps you out of the courtroom, but if you have to go into the courtroom, at least you have the fact that you do have a policy, you are enforcing the policy, and you can prove it.
Yep. So as a driver, hiring onto a company or they implement this program, obviously I would have to bring my phone in and you would access something to download the app or whatever it be. But then as a driver, after a couple of weeks, I'm going, I don't like this. I want to be able to access some stuff. So you know what? Maybe while I'm at home this weekend, I'm going to delete that NoCell app. I'll fix you guys. I'll delete the app off there and we won't have to worry about it. What's stopping me from doing that? Now all of a sudden I just beat your program.
So That's a great question, John. And that does occur not frequently, but it has occurred in the past. And what happens is when that driver gets back in the cab the next time, there's an inactivity alert, right? So then it alerts the fleet manager that driver 123 John is not going into policy, right? There's something wrong. Either that the driver's taken that tag and chucked it out the window, or there's something else that is occurring. So the fleet manager would be able to address that with the driver right off the bat. If they do it while the phone's in policy, say they're going down in Quebec, and all of a sudden they decide they're going to turn off the kill the Bluetooth or kill the app, there's a pin that's dropped on the map for the fleet manager, and those two are automatically turned on the phone once again. So they can't get around the system. The other alerts are if the driver picked up the phone from the cradle, there's a phone handling alert that occurs, and there's a pin that's dropped. So you know exactly where the driver is when they pick up that phone. And then the other one is they have their company phone, or if they have the phone that has a NoCell app on it and it's supervised and they only have the apps that the company wants them to have, but they pick up a burner phone at Walmart or something like that, and they want to watch Netflix or, whatever, their guilty pleasure is. We will be able to let them know that there's another device in the vehicle at that time, a rogue device.
And that was a question that came to my mind when John was asking his. Could I not just bring another cell phone with me, especially if it's a company issued cell phone? Most drivers would have their own personal cell phone.
Right.
So,
we can NoCell can supervise up to 3 devices at a time. So if they have their company cell phone, they have a personal cell phone, and they have a tablet, you can put the app on all 3, and they can be supervised inside that cab. So if they don't put the app on it, we just recognize that there is another device in the vehicle. Yeah, a company down here in Texas, or actually up in Oklahoma City, and they're in the oil business. And they had a strict, there was a single driver per cab and no cell phone at all, no cell phone usage. So they put us in, and they quickly found out that the driver was picking up another passenger on his route, and that passenger had 2 cell phones with them. So he was breaking all sort of the unintended consequence, but that's what occurred, and that's how we continue to strengthen the product, is by having the drivers use it.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. And I wonder if the passenger was female.
I do not know, and I did not.
But we hear all the time about off-route miles. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it still happens that long distance drivers have friends that they want to go see. Mm-hmm. And if it's, within 100 miles of my route, what's the harm? What else about NoCell? So that was pretty interesting, that you can detect how many cell phones are actually in the cab.
Correct.
What is the radius around the puck that it works for?
So Bluetooth is 150 meters, right? But our algorithm, it'll shrink it down just to the driver's envelope right now. So we can tell you. So it's not tracking or affecting any other phones that are outside the vehicle if they're in traffic or whatever. The algorithm will eliminate any vehicles that are pacing the vehicle that has a NoCell in it. Okay. So and like I said, in future revisions or future releases, we'll be able to let you know who's in the driver's seat, position A, who's in the passenger seat, position B, and who's in the sleeper. And those 3 positions will have fleet managers will be able to set up different permissions for those different positions.
And that would be cool. And,
cool.
As you were speaking there, I'm thinking again how my mind works. Well, if I'm in a truck stop, are you going to pick up cell phones from the guy sleeping beside the next truck over from me? And of course, it doesn't work because it's turned off because I'm not going above the speed limit. So,
right. Yeah. You get to a threshold. Usually the threshold is set between 3 and 4 miles per hour down here in the States. And that's where the phone would go into policy. There is a delay mechanism built into it. So it's anywhere it's set in the portal by the fleet manager. So anywhere from 5 seconds up to 3 minutes. So if they get to a red light or a stop sign or stop and go traffic, it keeps the cell phone in policy for that amount of time. So every time they come to a stop sign, they're not picking up the phone and, trying to.
Right.
And so out of the cab, it's a completely dead app. So it doesn't track anything, doesn't track. I don't care where you go to dinner. All we want to do is make sure that the driver's not messing with the phone and they get home safely every night instead of these horrific stories that everyone's talking about.
Yeah. So as a fleet manager, then, if I subscribe to NoCell, obviously I'm going to get a tag for each of the vehicles.
Right.
Do I, in the portal that I'm working from on the back office side, do I have to assign the phone to that tag? So if that driver is utilizing that truck, I have to assign him to that tag, or
so it's another question, John. It's almost like I paid you to ask these questions.
I haven't collected my check yet. So anyway,
I was going to say, we're open to bribes, but
it's a one-to-one and a many-to-many solution. So if they've got a fleet where the driver jumps in the next available vehicle. If the driver's in vehicle 1 on Monday and vehicle 17 on Tuesday, as long as there's a tag in the vehicle and an app on the phone, it automatically pairs up. So and then it lets the fleet manager know who's in what vehicle at what time, and it'll start their day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
now you said,
So I was going to
ahead,
say, I take it the tag is registered to the company then, like the motor carrier or whoever's buying that service.
Correct. The tag is assigned to the vehicle, and so the tag identifies the vehicle, and then the app on the phone identifies the driver.
Okay.
so that explains one to many.
Yes.
Did you have another question that you wanted to pay John to ask? I don't know how I'm getting left out of this payment stuff. John, you got to take me golfing.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Corey,
I know that you were going to ask me about a driver. What do the drivers feel right off the bat, right? Why would a driver allow this to be on the phone, right? And it's really how the companies position it. And the company positions it like, hey, we're investing in your safety, right? This is no different than, an ELD, a seatbelt, or whatever else we put in the cab. We want to make sure you get home safely every single night. At first I have drivers like, hey, there's no way you're putting this on my cell phone. It's an invasion of privacy, yada, yada, yada. And then, 10 days into it, they're like, this is great. I don't have any buzz beeps or dings to distract me whatsoever. It takes away a lot of the stress of driving. We find that the phone handling alerts go down over 70%, well over 70% after the first 10 days. Because the drivers are treating themselves not to pick up the phone.
Right.
Because there's the apps that they wanted were not on the phone while they're driving. They just don't.
Yeah, they're realizing those notifications are not there anymore.
Right.
Well,
yeah. So I'm assuming when they stop, then all of a sudden my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed, my TikTok, all of a sudden, bing, 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 everything's catching up. Well, now you're part. You can deal with those things in a structured manner where I don't have to worry about what's going on out the windshield because, hey, I'm parked. So, yeah.
Well, and I was going to add that when I drive and I hear that stupid phone alerts, it's so hard not to look at the phone.
Yep.
And so by NoCell eliminating that, you've taken that temptation away and simplified my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a chemical reaction that occurs, right? When you hear that buzz beep or ding, there's a dopamine and it's released. So it's an actual addiction to the phone and to that notification. Yeah. And take away that notification, take away that buzz beep or ding, then it, eliminates that portion of it.
Have you got very many accounts or clients that are like personal where, a family, mom and dad want to put it in their cars so that the kids, when they're driving, Have you had any of that, or is it mostly commercial business?
So right now it's 100% commercial. We do though have a lot of instances where the fleet has, let's say they have 150 trucks, right? But they order 155 no-cell tags. Well, they ends up that they get their spouse and their kids all on the platform, and they just create a different group called family in the portal.
Okay.
And they can take care of it. We are working with 3 different insurance carriers down in the States right now and one of them, it's pretty close to bringing it to their personal lines. So you will see the no-cell technology under a different name, to take care of, teenage drivers, 16 to 21 or whatever.
Sure.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I could actually see personal lines insurance companies getting on board this to help curb this problem and making this part of the policy program.
Right.
Where we're it's kind of like some of the user-based insurance in some programs already. I believe it's Progressive that has it. There's a company up here in Quebec in Canada that is using user-based insurance. And I could see them going, hey, put this in your vehicle and you could see a reduction in your insurance premiums. So,
yeah. And we are seeing a lot of activity from captive insurance groups as well, right? Because they actually write their own checks.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
a little bit more leverage with their members, and they are pushing. We've got one right now that is pushing to have this installed, in the entirety of the members, about 9,000 vehicles over the next 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
Oh, gosh, well, and it makes total sense to me, at least in captives, because as you say, they do have a little more control.
They got more skin in the game.
More skin in the game for sure. Yeah.
Well, even the insureds have more skin in the game if they're part of a captive.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And
and even I was going to say, even in the normal, like the open market, if you're sitting there with a $25,000 deductible, and depending on how many crashes you have that are distraction related, my God, you could save a ton of money.
Yeah. It seems like a no-brainer to me. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a huge cost. It's easy to install. It works, right? So, it seems like a complete no-brainer, and, hopefully we can get it in every single fleet across the United States, Canada, and Mexico in the next, 5 years.
Yeah.
And this isn't exactly new technology. When was the company started?
The company started in 2016.
Yeah. So we're talking, sorry, what's that? 7 years
old? 7 years ago.
Yeah. And it continues to be, we've got a huge team of developers that are always trying to, add new features and keep up with the Android operating system and the iOS operating system, and trying to, the cat and mouse game. So we're trying to stay ahead of the entire time.
Well, and you just brought up an important point. It works on both Android and Apple devices.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
we're also set up for, so we're set up in kilometers per hour. We can have the portal and everything in Spanish. So we are set up to do business all over North America at this point in time.
Cool.
So you can speak Canadian, eh? You can put it in kilometers.
So for a little fact, is I spent a better part of 4 years playing baseball up in Canada. So I speak Canadian very well. And by the way, I was a catcher, not a back catcher. That's just what they used to call me when I was, playing baseball.
And where did you play up here?
I played up in Lethbridge, Alberta, in Eston, Saskatchewan, and up in Calgary.
Nice. Lethbridge is... every time somebody says Lethbridge, I just remember the huge train trestle.
Yes.
Yes. The high bridge.
The big cook. The big coolies up there. Yep.
And windy as all get out by the 7th inning, man, it was blowing out. So had to have a
well, that's why you needed a back catcher, a front catcher, and a mid catcher. And the ball when it was in the air with the wind. Yes.
I'm not kidding.
All right. So Corey, getting back to NoCell, what else do we need to know about the technology?
It's So you start out, I'll just give you the pricing if that's okay. It's
Sure.
$148 US per vehicle per year. So it's about $12 US per vehicle. That first year covers your NoCell tag or the puck, and all the onboarding, the training, the whole works. The second year, it gets even better. It's $108 per vehicle per year US. So it's $9 per vehicle US per month. I mean, it's one of the most inexpensive insurance policies, internal insurance policies you're ever going to have. I mean, it's the ROI on it could be 2 weeks, right? Because again, you can't measure the crashes that don't happen, but you can measure year over year and see that, they are going to go down substantially.
And of course, we've got a link in the show notes if you want to reach out to Corey and NoCell. And unfortunately, it's not an affiliate link, so don't be afraid to click it. But I'll speak to Corey after the thing and see if we can set up an affiliate. But Corey, I just want to say thanks so much, because John and I, as you know, are deeply involved in safety in North America. And I really believe the NoCell technology can just take us to the next level and prevent crashes. And if we can prevent crashes, we're going to save lives. And
we potentially save lives every single time we install. And it's not just the life of the driver that has the NoCell in it. It's the passenger vehicle that doesn't get T-boned. It's, that ripple effect of a crash is just enormous, right? And the more people that we can save or keep from getting, hit every day, the better. That's why we wake up early every morning to, do things like this and preach the gospel according to safety and make sure that people get home every night, right? Yeah.
And
Big time.
I appreciate it because I drive every day on these roads. So Corey from NoCell, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. And I encourage you all to reach out to Corey and see if you can make your fleet just a little safer. Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it.
What a great interview. Thanks, Corey from NoCell. And what awesome technology. I really hope that you will look into this, because I do believe this NoCell technology can save an awful lot of lives and reduce distracted driving, which is an evil at the moment. So reach out to Corey and he'll take care of you. His contact info is in the show notes down below. And John and I would like to thank you once again for listening to the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. Thanks, and see you next week.